Guys, it is time to wheel and deal. It's time to make some moves, time to make some trades. Find those tacos in your league. Try to trade those 2-for-1s, those 3-for-1s. Give them 3 bench players for their studs. This is when you need to be making moves, dude. This is where your season can either go one way or the other. Let's hop in. Let's hop into this. Let's find some players that I think have some value, have some buy low potential, right? So a couple of days ago, I published a video where I talked about dudes that I'm panicked about. There's actually going to be some overlap. I'm going to explain why, all right? Like, I'm panicked about some players, but I think other people also are, which means that there's a buy low potential in those players, right? And I'll explain why. And the first guy on this list is going to be Derrick Henry. Just going to hop right on into it. I'm going to give you my thoughts, man. So it's kind of like a 3-part reason why Derrick Henry is a buy low. So number one, they just played the best defense in the league. So the Browns have proven to everyone that they are the best defense in the league. They've only allowed like 300 total yards and like 1 touchdown to every team they've played. Something ridiculous, right? Like across the board, they're one of the top defenses. So he had only 2 fantasy points because of that. It's not the first time a player or a team has struggled against the Browns, right? This is a trend now that we're seeing. So Derrick Henry is currently at his lowest value that I can remember him having since his like rookie year. So that's a buy low, that's buy low opportunity, a buy low window, right? Weeks 4 to 14, if we look over here at his game logs. So nothing on this docket scares me from like a game script point of view. I'm going to talk about game script specifically, right? So it doesn't look like they're going to get blown out by Cincinnati with how Cincy's been playing. I mean, you never know since you can always have a get right game. Indianapolis, great stout run defense, but game script shouldn't really favor any of these teams. It should be like a tight divisional matchup. Baltimore, they just got swamped by the Colts. Swamped. I don't even know what I was trying to say. Atlanta, whether Atlanta is winning or losing, game script always favors the other team because they just run the ball regardless and they give you the ball back because of that. They'll never like put these like super long drives together if the run game isn't working. So yeah, just without harping too much, you got to buy. But then you got, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Carolina, Indy. Like up until they see Miami, I don't see any like for sure these are like multiple touchdown underdogs, right? And the Titans are well coached, man. They're good coaching, a great coaching staff, a great run scheme. Their offensive line is decrepit. It's bad. I could probably play offensive line, but dude, I've seen worse players on worse teams with worse quarterbacks and worse offensive lines. And I've seen fantasy players produce. So if the fucking Yeti can produce, as a fantasy footballer say, dude, when there's snow in Vermont, Derrick Henry will eat. The Yeti comes out. And like after week 14 where they play Miami, dude, they have the nicest playoff schedule of all running backs. It's Houston, and then it's Seattle, and then it's Houston again. And you know what Derrick Henry does against Houston, man. So he's a buy low for me. I don't think you're ever going to be able to get him this low. I think even against Cincinnati, I can imagine him producing a little bit, having like a middling, maybe running back 18 finish or something, which should which should increase his value a little bit, and then it'll be a little bit tougher to get him. So that's Derrick Henry, man. Let's move on. The next player on this list is going to be Javonte Williams, who's a buy low candidate for me. And it's because of volume. He's only played less than 45% of the snaps every week, but he still has gotten a decent amount of volume. There are some starting running backs, like pure, full workload, who don't get this much work. And the Broncos offense actually hasn't been that bad. It's really their defense that's been the issue. And, some inopportune offensive mistakes and stuff that have caused them to lose some games. But if you take out the Miami game, which I'm not going to say it's a fluke. I think the Dolphins really are that good. I just think it's a fluke of how like everyone on the Broncos gave up. They just all didn't give a shit. And I think Sean Payton has a lot to prove. I think Javonte Williams is involved. I mean, 3 targets, 6 targets the last 3 weeks, 11 for about 40 yards. So his statistics aren't that great, but he's like involved, right? And if the Broncos start turning around, I mean, their schedule, aside from these Kansas City and Buffalo matchups, I can see these all being pretty tight games. Like pretty much the rest of the season. Like I imagine I imagine Cleveland, Buffalo, and both Kansas City games to be blowouts where you're probably not going to start them. But every other game, dude, if you can buy low or if you can trade a dude like Isaiah Pacheco or some other like, RB2/3 for Javonte and like buy low on him, I think you should do it. I think you should really consider that. I just think the Broncos offense is going to be a little bit better than some of those other, like a James Conner. I think James Conner has looked better and has played better and has produced better. But if you're comparing both of these teams, like I know that the Broncos are winless, but I just do think that they're a slightly better team. Next guy on the list, let's move it on. DeAndre Hopkins. So DeAndre Hopkins, a lot of the same sentiments that apply to Derrick Henry apply them to DeAndre Hopkins. He's a proven like volume hog wide receiver on a team that can't really run the ball right now. And they just played Cleveland. Yet he still went 3 for 48, which was leading the team, right? Like it's not like somebody else on the team fucking ate while he was, sitting at the kiddie table having his mushy peas, right? He was actually the best receiver for them that day. So I think moving on, in a lot of these other matchups where it's a little bit more of a little bit more of a split line, or at least like they'll be like slight underdogs or even favored in some of these other games, like against Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, not Jacksonville, Carolina. Like I can imagine the Titans kind of riding the ship, and I think DeAndre Hopkins is a guy you can get really cheap right now because of how, like, dude, the more and more the media and people keep saying the Titans are just so bad and they're horrific and they fucking smell and whatever they've been saying. That's like that's buy low for me. That's leverage. You know what I mean? Like, give me your garbage, give me your orphans, give me your homeless. Give me your meth addicts. Give them to me, dude. I want to buy all these fantasy assets super low. I've been just buying, dude. My entire team in this league is just a fucking mental institution, man. It's Arkham Asylum. It's like Chris Godwin, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, fucking retired Andrew Luck. It's just like anyone who could be something but probably won't be is on my team. So DeAndre Hopkins, I just traded Drake London for him. So Drake London is a guy that I was big on in the offseason, but I just think, yeah, fuck Drake London. I'm not even going to get into that, dude. There'll be a whole other video, or just I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to boil my blood pressure now if I talk about Drake London. Moving on, Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's the next guy. He's a buy low for me. I think it's a little bit sketchy because he's really not getting a lot of target volume, but I do think there will be some type of regression, right? Like Mike Evans can't keep getting everything. He can't keep getting away with this, as Jesse would say from Breaking Bad. And dude, against the Rams, I'm sorry, against the Eagles, I want to tell you guys, I want to paint this picture for you guys. The touchdown that Mike Evans scored, the play right before that was a play in which Chris Godwin catches a short route, runs toward the pylon, extends the ball, in my opinion, which is wrong, but because I had Chris Godwin, obviously my eyes are seeing something different. He reaches out and breaks the plane. He breaks the plane, but they call it not a touchdown. Very next play or 2 plays later, that slant route in the end zone to Mike Evans. Take that production, take those 6 points, give them to Chris Godwin, and take them away from Evans, and you have a different narrative, right? You have a narrative in which is like, all right, like Chris Godwin, he's back, baby. Like I bought him right before week 3, like with the hopes that Mike Evans would be getting locked down by the Eagles and might be double teaming him, which opened things up for Godwin. He's getting 10 yards per catch, which isn't horrible. It's not like last year's Deebo Samuel or anything like that. He's getting like decent average depth of target. So I think he's still a buy low. I think moving forward, there should be some type of regression. I think he'll get into the end zone a couple times this year, maybe like 4 or 5 touchdowns on the season. Hopefully that's the expectation because the Bucks don't look that bad. And moving on, we got Zay Flowers. So Zay Flowers, these next 3 guys aren't really like buy low, but they're like buy not that high yet. Meaning, let's try to buy these guys before they truly pop off and then they're truly unattainable. So Zay Flowers, dude, big oversight by a lot of the fantasy community. We underestimated just how fucking old and injury riddled Odell and Bateman are. We underestimated it, dude. We should have been smashing Zay Flowers in like the 5th, 6th round because of how involved, how much volume he's getting, how dynamic he looks. He looks like the best wide receiver in the draft class, to be honest. So yeah, Zay Flowers is a buy low candidate. I think he's yet to score a touchdown. And if the owner in your team is struggling, right, and they've got Zay Flowers and they're like 1-2 or even 0-3, I think you can get him because I think Zay Flowers hasn't been helping them enough, right? Like the guy in my league, he's like 2-1, and he's like his fourth wide receiver, so I don't think he's going to want to trade him. I'd have to like really sweeten the deal with like a, I don't know, a real life makeout session or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'd have to do to get him, because he's winning, so he's not very desperate to move his players, right? So that's Zay Flowers. Todd Monken offense looks like they're throwing the ball a lot more. They're a lot more efficient as an offense, except for last week against the Colts. That was a strange game flow that happened. But next guy, Garret Wilson. Garret Wilson's a little bit tricky because he really shouldn't even have this much production. When you look at 11 points, 15-7 in weeks 1 and 2, both of his touchdown catches were like just like pure Garret Wilson, just overcoming all the odds, fucking playing Skyrim on expert mode, because he taps the ball to himself, catching in the end zone in week 1. Week 2 he has that like breakaway long touchdown. That's just like because of how good he is, right? And that, I guess, the reason I think he's kind of a buy low is because I think a lot of people are very frightened by how bad Zach Wilson is. And, if they upgrade that QB, even fucking Trevor Siemian, dude, at least Trevor Siemian will like sling it, dude, throw 4 picks, but 2 touchdowns with it. Zach Wilson looks like, dude, he looks like me out there, man. It looks like I'm playing quarterback for the Jets. I swear, like sometimes I have to like, if Zach Wilson had, 50 more pounds on him, I'd be like, is that me? But anyway, yeah, he just looks scared. He looks frightened to move the ball or do anything of value for the Jets, offensive passing attack. So I think if they upgrade a QB, Garret Wilson prospers. He instantly becomes like a top 15 guy. Literally anyone, dude. Anyone but Zach Wilson would propel Garret Wilson into like top 20 status. And the last guy, this one's gonna be tough, dude. If you can get him somehow, good job. But I think Jakobi Meyers is still kind of a buy low because he's just perceived as not good. People just don't give a fuck. People don't since his time on the Patriots, nobody really gave him his due. Last year, he was like a bona fide, consistent wide receiver 2. Yet I couldn't even move him for a fucking like third rounder, man. I couldn't understand till like contending teams who could use a little bit of depth. It was just, I don't know. People just don't like Jakobi Meyers. They don't think he's earned his I don't think he's earned his place in the NFL. I don't know what it is, but he's great, man. 10 targets, 2 touchdowns in week 1, gets the concussion, comes back in week 3, 12 targets for 7 for 85. He's great. Garoppolo's looking at him like 35% first read rates. That's what you want. Javonte Adams gets like the other 40%. This offense seems to funnel through Jacobs, Meyers, and Devontae. And I know they're not the best offense. Time of possession is very low, but hey, if he's going to get this much of that smaller pie, then I think it's somebody that would still be trying to buy low on if the owner of Jakobi Meyers perceives him as not very valuable, right? So like general trade advice for you guys, some takeaways. But before I get into that, why don't you guys give this video a like? Give me a sub, dude. Hit me in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your your pending trades, or your some ideas of trades that you want to make, and I'll let you know what I think about them. So my general trade tips for you guys: take guys that their arrows rest of season seem to be pointing down, meaning are they producing simply because of like temporary opportunity, like a Zach Moss, maybe that's not the best example. Like take guys where you expect their rest of season outlook to not be as strong as now. Dude, the hardest hitting fucking fantasy analysis here. Can't even speak properly. So take guys, obviously rest of season outlook looks negative, looks like their situation will change for the worse. Package them with a running back and a wide receiver for a worse running back and a better wide receiver, or a better running back and a worse wide receiver. So move up the tier at running back and move down a tier at wide receiver based on the needs of your team. I've come to realize that's the best way to do it. I think the times have passed, at least for me in a lot of leagues I'm in, where you could do these 2 and 3 for 1 trades. I think even the tacos are starting to evolve, right? ChatGPT is out. These guys can now just easily ChatGPT basic fantasy tips. The time has gone where you can really fleece some of the it depends how look for the dudes in your league who just had a kid. That seems to be a common denominator of guys that you can fleece the easiest. Like this guy's got a kid, he's losing sleep, man. Send him, send him your fucking Devon A chain for Jamar Chase. Like those are the dudes you want to try to take advantage of. But yeah, for the most part, let me know your trades, man. Every league is different. Everybody has different people in their league, right? Like it's a negotiation thing. So let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video.